Hello everyone, back tuning to our latest Star Wars videos. So Daisy Ridley, Rey from the sequel trilogy, has been doing interview rounds in America to promote her latest film, Ophelia. And she talked a little bit about the Rise of Skywalker and also the backlash to The Last Jedi. And what she has to say about backlash to The Last Jedi is quite interesting. So we're going to talk about that for this video coming up in a moment. Just to say that if you're enjoying the Star Wars content on this channel, which I don't get a chance to upload as much as I would like to do, but if you are enjoying what we do upload, then please like, share and subscribe and let us know in the comments what you think. So we're on the website USA Today .com. I'm going to leave a link to this, of course, in the description at YouTube. The headline is Daisy Ridley wasn't surprised fans hated Last Jedi and teases emotional Star Wars ending. Story by Patrick Rian, issued or published on the 1st of July 2019. Now, for the Last Jedi section, you need to scroll way down to the bottom of the article, actually, the interview. So this is what they say to Daisy Ridley, the question they ask her about The Last Jedi. So they ask, writer-director Rian Johnson received a ton of backlash online after The Last Jedi, with many fans petitioning to remake the film and redeem Luke Skywalker's character. Were you surprised by all the controversy? Ridley, I wasn't surprised, no, it's just a different thing. Everyone's going to have an opinion now anyway on the internet, but I also think it's fair. She also thinks it's fair that there was this backlash to Rian Johnson's film. If people hold something incredibly dear and think they know how it should be and it's not like that, it's fair for people to think they were done wrong. It doesn't mean they were. Ultimately, Ryan's a filmmaker and one person can't dictate how a film is supposed to be. But freedom of expression, sure. So she's not totally throwing The Last Jedi under the bus, but it appears that she does certainly have quite a bit of sympathy for the way that the fans have been treated, both in terms of the film that they was given, The Last Jedi, and also the reaction from Lucasfilm and people like Rian Johnson after The Last Jedi has been released, and you know, all of the stuff about toxic fans and so on, and the shade that Lucasfilm and Rian Johnson have been throwing at Star Wars fandom. So she says she thinks it's fair for people to have this sort of backlash against The Last Jedi. But she does also say that ultimately Rian is the filmmaker, so it's up to him how he wants to make his film. But I think she has sort of sympathies with the fan view on what happened in The Last Jedi. Of course, she's probably not as invested anywhere near as the fans are to Luke Skywalker, but I think she had problems with her character as well in this film. I think she was rather surprised about sort of the romantic overtones between Rey and Kylo Ren. I got a feeling she wasn't entirely happy with that particular storyline and subplot, and the way that Rey became kind of submersive to Kylo Ren in some ways. She sort of abandoned her Jedi training and went running off to Kylo Ren for no particular reason other than she sort of had a forced Skyping session with him shirtless. And because of that, she seemed to go running off and endanger herself and her friends, and it didn't really make a great deal of sense that they barely know each other, and yet they have this sort of connection to the point where she would abandon her Jedi training, she would abandon Luke Skywalker, she would go running off on some sort of crazy mission. It's not really clear what her aim is when she goes running off to Kylo Ren, whether she is aiming to turn him from the dark side or something, but there's sort of no setup to that. So I mean, Luke did something very similar, of course, in Return of the Jedi, but that had been set up over 3 films. So when Luke sort of left Endor and handed himself over to his father and to the Emperor because he was on a mission to turn his father, Darth Vader, from the dark side to light. It had been a progression that had developed over 3 films, so it had been set up very, very well. Whereas what Rey does in The Last Jedi, she just goes running off to Kylo Ren, and it's not clear why she does it. I think she's doing it to try and turn him to the dark side, but why would she do that when she barely knows him? It seemed more like she just had a scene with him where he's shirtless, and she was sort of had a head turn. But whether that was supposed to be it, or whether she's trying to turn him from the dark side to the light, it's not particularly clear. And I remember at the time when Daisy and others from The Last Jedi were doing press rounds, some of her interviews, you could tell that she wasn't entirely happy with what the final outcome of The Last Jedi was. In this interview, she does give a little bit of information about the Rise of Skywalker. There's Daisy in Ophelia, by the way. So I think she's playing Shakespeare's character from Hamlet, Ophelia, but I'm not entirely sure about what Ophelia is about. So we'll carry on up to the article anyway. By the way, the thing about Ophelia is quite interesting. There is a Star Wars connection to the character of Ophelia and in Hamlet, and the final scene that we have with Padme in Revenge of the Sith. I'll do a video about that sometime. There's a very clear connection between the final images of those 2 characters. Ophelia is a very tragic Shakespearean character, and of course Padme is quite a tragic character as well. And there is a striking similarity between their final sort of images, their final fates. I will have to do a video about that sometime, if you would find that interesting. I don't know what you think in the comments. Anyway, we're back to Daisy, and just drop a couple of tidbits about the Rise of Skywalker. So let's see if we can find what she's saying. So it's not up there. Let's carry on down then. And they ask her a little bit about the Rise of Skywalker. So we've got a question. The Force Awakens was a familiar fun reintroduction to the Star Wars universe, while The Last Jedi was a darker, riskier installment. I didn't find it particularly dark at all. I don't think it was a very dark film whatsoever. It's certainly nowhere near as dark as The Empire Strikes Back or Revenge of the Sith. Probably wasn't even as dark as Attack of the Clones, to be honest. It was just a load of nothing, really. Anyway, we'll carry on from that. So they say, how does The Rise of Skywalker compare to Force Awakens and The Last Jedi? Ridley replies, genre-wise, it's different from the other 2, which will become clear when the film comes out. It's quite emotional. There's a different drive than the previous 2 films, but there's a lot of fun. I really missed John Boyega during the last one, but we're back together now, and now Oscar Isaac is part of it. To me, it feels like kids going on an adventure. They also ask, there's been an intense obsession with Rey's parents. Has there been an obsession? I don't know if I'd say there's been an obsession. There's certainly been an interest about Rey's parentage, and that was set up by J.J. Abrams and the Force Awakens. I think The Force Awakens is a terrible film, really, but it does set up a few interesting story strands. One of them is Rey's parentage. So it's not an obsession, but people are naturally interested to know where Rey has come from and why she is so talented to the point where she hasn't received any Jedi training in The Force Awakens, but she sort of can beat anybody, really, in The Force Awakens in terms of their Jedi sort of skills. The fact that she's never had, as far as we know, any Jedi training. So people are obviously very interested into why that is the case. So anyway, we'll go on to the question. They're saying, there's been this obsession about Rey's parents, and many fans were dissatisfied when they were revealed to be nobodies in The Last Jedi. Is there more to their story in the new film? Ridley replies, Director J.J. Abrams did say the question is answered, so at the end of the film you do know what the dealio is. So there is going to be an answer to Rey's parentage. Whether it will be a particularly satisfying answer, I don't know. I've got a feeling they are still going to go with the idea that she's not connected to the Skywalkers or the Solos. She's not connected to any of the legacy characters. So that's where I think it's going to go with her. I certainly don't think she's going to have any connection to Luke, for example. I don't think that it's going to turn out she's the long-lost daughter of Luke Skywalker, or she's the sort of long-lost daughter of Han and Leia. I think it's going to turn out she isn't connected to any of the legacy characters. But that's just my guess. I could be completely wrong about that. I think they wanted Rey... They wanted to get away from the idea that the Force and the Jedi was sort of a part of family traits, if you like. So with George Lucas, the story of Star Wars has been very sort of family-driven. And we've got the Skywalker line and the Skywalker heritage from sort of Anakin Skywalker to Luke Skywalker and so on. I think with Rey, they wanted to go towards the idea that the Force is something that anybody could do, really. It's not something that is dominated by your genetics or your bloodline. It is something that is an ability that's open to any person. I think that's where they was aiming to go. That's where J.J. Abrams, I think, was aiming to go, which kind of does go away quite a bit with what George Lucas had done the previous 6 films. But then we know that these people, they wanted to create something that really doesn't have a great deal of connection to what George Lucas created. That was all part of why they discarded George Lucas' story drafts. They went with their own ideas. Under George Lucas's story, Rey is Kira, and Kira is the daughter of Han and Leia. And then there's also a brother as well, whose name escapes me. The brother goes to the dark side. Kira is trained by Luke, and so on. So you've got a brother-sister relationship between Kira, who is now Rey, and the son of Han and Leia, who does go to the dark side in the same way that Kylo Ren, aka Ben Solo, has done. But I think with Rey, they want to get away from that sort of bloodline type idea with the Jedi and with the Force, which is, in one way, it's fair enough, because it does open up the galaxy. But then this is a story of families. It's a story of fathers and sons. It's a story it's a family story. So it's a story of grandfathers and grandsons, and with Padme and Shmi, grandmothers, and so on. So we start with the character of Shmi Skywalker in The Phantom Menace, who's kind of like Anakin's mother. She's Luke's grandmother. She is Leia's grandmother as well, I suppose. Then she would be Kylo Ren. She would be Ben Solo's great-grandmother. And so you've got this line of sort of family relations going all the way down from Shmi Skywalker, who is the great-grandmother, if you like, of Kylo Ren. Padme Amidala is going to be Kylo Ren, Ben Solo's grandmother, and so on. She is Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia's mother, and that's what George Lucas's version of Star Wars is. It's families, it's fathers and sons, it's mothers and daughters, it's brothers and sisters. So that is George Lucas's vision of Star Wars, and you have this sort of personal family saga going on, or personal family relationship going on, or personal family story going on within this much broader sort of huge intergalactic civil war and all of these bizarre characters, robots and Wookiees coming in and out of the story. And of course you've got the arch villain, Emperor Palpatine, who is sort of the arch villain that's playing everybody. He's kind of like moving everyone around like chess pieces and so on. And so that's George Lucas's start. It's a story of family, it's a story of fathers and sons and so on. With this new incarnation of Star Wars, they wanted to get away, particularly J.J. Abrams and Lawrence Kasdan, when they were writing The Force Awakens, they wanted to get away from that idea of family and of the Jedi and the Force being very much a bloodline, if you like. So where Rian Johnson took things, and he has had a lot of stick for this in terms of Rey's parents being nobodies, but to be honest, I think Rian was just following on with that story from where J.J. Abrams was with that. I think if J.J. Abrams had done the second film, I suspect he would have come away, we would have come out with a very similar sort of backstory for Rey, that her parents were nobodies, that she was abandoned, and that there is no particular reason for why she is so talented with the Force. It's just that it is, and there's no particular story for her. I think that's the way that JJ would have gone with the second film if he had done that film. So in that respect, Rian Johnson did go away from a lot of what J.J. Abrams set up with The Force Awakens, but with that particular story line, I actually think that Rian Johnson was just following what J.J. Abrams would have done primarily. So anyway, we see that Daisy is sort of totally in agreement, but she's sympathetic to the backlash that has taken place between the fans and Rian Johnson and Lucasfilm over The Last Jedi. She doesn't completely burn her bridges and throw The Last Jedi under the bus, but clearly reading between the lines, she thinks that a lot of the sort of fan upset over The Last Jedi is quite justified, I think, and she certainly doesn't think that the film is flawless and shouldn't be criticised. And we've known that she kind of has this view of The Last Jedi since she did the press rounds when it was released anyway. So there we go. The fallout of The Last Jedi is still continuing. But we will be rolling on to The Rise of Skywalker very shortly, of course. What I've just said about Rey's parentage, by the way, they might go away from that idea of her being a nobody in The Rise of Skywalker purely because of the fan backlash. But I'll be surprised if they do. I think J.J. Abrams is going to broadly stick to that idea, that despite the fact that she was set up as being a very mysterious character, but really there is no particular mystery behind her. She really is not related to any of the legacy characters. She really is a nobody in that respect. That's the way I think they're going to go with Rey in The Rise of Skywalker, because it's the way that J.J. Abrams always wanted to go with the character from when he created it with Larry Kasdan. Right, that's it. So Daisy, not from Last Jedi under the bus, but she certainly, I think, reading between the lines, thinks that a lot of the fan upset over The Last Jedi is quite justified. And there we go. So we'll see if she does any more interviews about this film that she's doing, Ophelia, and Star Wars comes up. We'll see whether she has anything else to say. But that's all for now. Please like, share, and subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'll get that video up about the connection between Padme and Shakespeare's tragic heroine, Ophelia. I'll get that up for you sometime very shortly. So that's all for now, though. Thanks for watching.